I mean, we can start, obviously. I'm Loxley. I'm the CEO of Dastan, the parent company of Rug Radio and Decrypt. I am not Farouk. Some say I am better looking than Farouk, but he's got a lot more swag than I do. Next, obviously, Luca, take it away.
I think Farouk has just the best hair, so I'll give him that.
He has way better hair than me. I'm gray and balding.
You got better hair, Farouk. I'm Luca Netz. I'm the CEO of Pudgy Penguins.
I'm Riccardo. Hello, Farouk. I'm a CPO at my neighbor Alice.
I'm Melody. I'm an advisor for Somnia Network, a Layer 1 blockchain, and also co-founder of Spartan Group.
I'm Jonathan. I lead community at ZetaChain, new L1 focused on interoperability.
So we have panelists who are builders and creators across the board, everything from protocols to IP to gaming. You know, we are in a position now where we have all survived what was, in my experience, in my few cycles, a pretty brutal bearish cycle. Mainstream media has picked up and made some comments, some unfriendly comments towards those of us who are crazy enough to still be here. And quite frankly, I do not think that crypto, blockchain, NFTs are passé. I think they're still the future. And I kind of want to throw to the crowd here. Do you, I mean, you're here for a reason, but obviously you guys do believe that crypto is still the future and that you guys are part of the future of crypto.
Yeah.
What, I'm going to make this so easy for every single one of you. What are you doing in the moment? And I'll start with Luca and we can go down just a quick minute or two. What are you doing to facilitate the future?
I think from our perspective, it's just like, how do you actually make a product to reach mass? And I actually think IP will be the vehicle to be that bridge between the two worlds, because it's easy to market IP and it's easy for people to understand IP. I think a lot of people in crypto look at conversion as an action. I actually believe conversion is a process. And so, you know, if I make you fall in love with a penguin, in this case a pudgy penguin, over the course of the life cycle of that relationship, I don't need you to collect the NFT from day one. I need you to participate in the social content. I need you to participate in the growing of the brand in the real world. And slowly but surely, you know, you will learn and you will eventually begin to consume the actual Web3 side of it. And so I think the role that we want to play for the crypto industry is the consumer crypto revolution. And we want to be one of the core projects and core companies leading that charge and leading that revolution. I think what you've seen with ETFs is we've broken through to the institutions, but what crypto still doesn't have is consumer adoption. Consumer adoption is flat. Even today, with the cycle kind of gearing back up, it's still frothy. There's no real new inbound of users, and that needs to change. And that, I think, is the biggest problem that needs to be solved. And so can you leverage IP? Can you leverage consumer-facing applications? Can you leverage consumer infrastructure? I think there's a bunch of different things that we're doing over at Pudgy, and more specifically Igloo, which is the company that holds Pudgy, to kind of solve that problem. And so we want to be one of the leaders in consumer crypto, and that's what I think we're doing for the space.
Amazing. Ricardo, what are you guys doing to move crypto into the future?
I agree with Luca, and I will say that I would build on top of his answer. If they're making the bridge between Web 2 and Web 3, with my neighbor Alice, we started 3 years ago, and we build what we believe is the Web 3 game. So as of today, if we look at metaverses, they're really Web 2 games with a layer of NFTs. What we created is something from the ground up that is entirely on-chain, and essentially this allows all the different NFT collection, all the different IPs to be easily onboarded. So we recognize that we, as my neighbor Alice, we are developers. We come from a blockchain company. We know how to do the tech, and we let other companies to do much better the bridge between the Web 2 and the Web 3 world. But then what we have to ask ourselves is, when people are on this bridge between the Web 2 and the Web 3, and they arrive on the Web 3, what do they find? And we want to provide the safe haven that there is in the Web 3. Our mission is power to the players. We want to give power to the players, which are in a Web 3 world, those who owns.
Amazing. Melody is in a unique position because at Spartan, you guys get to invest in everything. I mean, you touch a lot of different projects, but specifically, you are talking about Somnia right now.
Yep.
What is Somnia doing to pave the way for the future?
Yeah, so yeah, like you said, we've been in this space for a long time. We've been investing and also working alongside many project founders, right? From Solana to Flow, and now we are spending a lot of time with the Somnia team. The reason why I love this project is they have been building technology for virtual experiences in the past decade, and now they just added another infrastructure, which is the Layer 1 blockchain. They really believe in content, IP, and user-generated content. And now with the tools of blockchain and AI, they have built the entire technology stack to support virtual experiences that it wasn't possible before, and allow unique content creators to create their own content with the tools of AI and put it on the blockchain so they can monetize better. So they would create virtual concerts, football watch parties. They just worked with a famous band called Twice, one of the biggest K-pop band, to create an album release in the virtual world. So allow content creators as well as audiences who couldn't afford to go, but then want to pay a little bit more to get a real engagement, right, with the artists. And that's not possible before. And now the content creators can create the assets, own it, monetize it. And this is all done by this blockchain that can connect all those societies together. They're also the one building the Yuga Labs other side, metaverse as well. So bring the traditional IP that from big entertainment brands and the crypto native IPs. We really want to create an interoperable world. And this particular technology is built just for that. So I really like blockchain that have use cases. That's come from the use cases first, and they build the technology, which is why I like what Somnia is building, right? Very different from some of the other general purpose blockchain.
Yeah. Now you mentioned doing things that were not possible in the past, which is exactly what ZetaChain is all about. Is that right, Jonathan?
Indeed, yeah. So future of crypto, yeah, I think if we're going to bring on the masses, we really have to solve the usability and security issue in crypto. And one of the biggest barriers and what we're trying to tackle at ZetaChain is the interoperability problem. So the fact is that users exist on a lot of different networks, and having a lot of blockchains is great. There are different advantages in scalability and privacy, new programming languages. And what we're building at ZetaChain is a new L1 with built-in interoperability to all of these chains. So as a developer, you deploy your code once, and you have access to users and liquidity on all networks from one place, including non-smart chains like Bitcoin, which is pretty powerful.
Amazing. Look, one of the early narratives of crypto and blockchain that was a unique value prop that drove probably a lot of us to the space was the idea that on-chain, not only assets, but data was immutable and was static and was forever. I think that we are seeing more and more every day the importance of maintaining flexibility and being dynamic and being able to pivot and be nimble. Luca, I want to throw to you really quickly. How do you guys at Pudgy, how do you balance the desire for permanence and that value prop that was originally part of the crypto story, and the necessity of maintaining a nimble posture?
Yeah, I think the community really wants us to put the art on chain. And initially we didn't do it because it cost too much money. I was like, at the time when we first exported a year and a half ago, it was like millions of dollars to do it. But there's since been some innovation in that department. And so if you're a Pudgy Penguin holder, your Pudgy might be on chain pretty soon. The idea is if you're not—
You heard it here first.
If you're not familiar—
Which chain?
Ethereum. Yeah, we definitely wouldn't move it outside of Ethereum, that's for sure. But the idea is right now your NFTs point through IPFS, and so technically they could disappear one day if IPFS went down. Now we've already supplemented that. We have 4 different backups so that the world would completely have to shut down. And in that case, that's not the case. But I think the story of, you know, if you're being a leader, you should try to do things that I think are innovative and important. And I believe having the image on chain signifies permanence. And at the end of the day, like, there's really three things that I'm optimizing for when I'm thinking about how do I make the community and the NFT win. I think on one side of the spectrum, we have proliferation, which is like top of marketing funnel. I believe because the NFT is a finite resource on the bottom, all I have to do is create more demand and not issue more NFTs, and I think eventually it'll work itself out. Simple supply and demand and supply shocks when things like that happen. On the other side of the spectrum, we have, you know, culture. So how do you build a product and a brand that resonates with people and creates nostalgia over a long period of time? A lot of people are trying to reinvent the wheel with NFTs on how do you make them work and how do you make them succeed. And I actually think it's quite obvious. Look no further than first edition Pokemon cards and all the collectibles that have real value in the real world. How did they achieve that? They achieved that through significant milestones and nostalgia. There was an interesting, I met with a guy who has one of the biggest collectible venture firms in the world, and he was like, you know, when a person grows up, or, you know, when they're 10 years old digesting Pokemon and they grow up and 20 years later they're super successful, they want to feel like a kid again. And so they'll start buying all the things that made them feel like a kid again, and in this case, you know, old Pokemon cards or Pokemon toys in that respect. And then the last one is historical significance. So how can I do things for the penguin so that when NFTs are in its final form 10, 15, 20 years from now, you know, you're looking back at what that final form looks like and you're saying, well, who created that final form? I want to be the one spearheading that. And I think so far we've done a good job. If you've noticed, you know, what Pudgy Penguins is doing is now what a lot of other people are doing, and I think that builds our historical provenance. And then ultimately putting that on chain, I think, could be the ultimate package for a recipe for success. So that's kind of how I look at that.
Amazing. You know, we have a few IP creators on stage. Pudgy creates IP as a gaming platform. My neighbor Alice, you know, creates IP as well, and in a collaborative way, obviously, with your audience, right? The audience's in-game experience becomes, in a way, intellectual property. How do you guys look at assets on chain in an environment that's constantly moving?
So in my neighbor Alice, everything is on chain. Experiences, quest, NFTs, everything is on chain. Metadata of the NFTs are on chain. If I ask to the audience how much of your NFT is on chain, the answer actually would be probably 4 number, which is 8088 maximum. So it's the idea of your NFT that is on chain. All the rest is on metadata that are on IPFS or, and even worse, on HTTPS. And back in the days, we recognized this limitation, and we recognize this limitation mainly because, yeah, you buy an NFT, and that is the NFT for the rest of your life. NFTs today are status. They just stay like that. And what we wanted to do is to make them dynamic and to give them some life. So, for example, how cool is if you have an NFT, you can change the hat, you can change the t-shirts, you can actually spawn a market. And that's what we did in my neighbor Alice. And even better, you can actually let the community craft those items. So, for example, if you want to change the t-shirt, you can gather the resources, in this case, some cotton, you can transform into a fabric, and then you can craft the t-shirt. And this opens incredible amount of possibilities, because since everything is on chain, since the logic is on chain, then you can customize your t-shirt. You can make it blue, you can make it pink, you can make with patterns. You have really no limitations, and at the same time, everything gets self-regulated in a trustless way because it works on smart contracts. And this is quite a big framework, and we managed to wrap it into my neighbor Alice, which is in my opinion, the easiest game to be onboarded. You don't have to make transactions, you just make signature, and we take care of everything. So in terms of onboarding, it's very easy, and is the cutest experience you can probably have in Web3 gaming, at least. And this is really super important for us because we want to show, as I said before, we want to show what Web3 gaming will be, and we cannot ask people to do complex transactions, and we cannot, at the same time, not show on-chain approach. So this is the way that we frame it, by letting everybody create their assets on-chain in a full customizable manner.
Everybody here in the audience are ultimately community members. Some of them are fellow builders and you know, entrepreneurs, community leaders, and some of them are here because they want to build and support. And as they build and support, they often create content themselves. Melody, you know, there's this question. We look at user-generated content, UGC, often as business builders, as a way to accelerate our growth from crowdsourcing content from our audience. I'm curious, how do you see users benefiting from their ability to contribute content and participate in that UGC cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I think what blockchain does is record these unique creative output, right, from creators. To trace back that these are the ones created, these are the people who have come up with this idea. I think that ensures the ownership. That's the number one thing I think blockchain has achieved. I think the second one is really tracing payment, attribution, right? Without blockchain, imagine doing this centralized way and doing this with a central database across all kinds of different sources of original IPs and to create use different sources of IP to create new content. It's impossible to attribute and pay back the original IP creator. So I think blockchain really solved its two problems to unlock the potential of true UGC, and users can benefit from generating real business models, right, from the original content. So I think now we solved that, we have to look forward, like what is in the future? For me, it's about creating new and different experiences that wasn't possible before in a pure like Web2 industry. So I think now that we have a lot of metaverses, a lot of like goggle virtual experiences and games, I also collaborate with users. I think this is really the time that will differentiate, will start a new era. The IP in the past, you know, users cannot really use them to create real sustainable businesses. Now with the blockchain, both in terms of payment attribution as well as guarantee the ownership, users can really start build sustainable and profitable businesses with the tools that we can provide. And I think with the development of AI, it's just going to lower the bar of UGC so significantly. We're going to see these original IPs now, it's going to be used everywhere. It's going to be such a low barrier to entry for regular users to create content. I think it's the consumers, this will benefit the consumers in the future, right? So yeah, I'm really excited about you know, what we can bring to the content and IP space.
So users are interacting and transacting on many chains. I know we have Ethereum builders. I know we have people building on other chains as well. Jonathan, really quickly, I want to ask you, why should a user, going into the future, right? We look at the past, we look at Bitcoin, we look at Ethereum, we look at some of these really established chains. Why should a user care about where they transact, or should they, or is the future maybe not chain specific?
Yeah, I think the future is you don't have to leave the environment that you're comfortable with. You could be on Solana, you could be on Bitcoin, Ethereum, or ZetaChain itself, and you can interface with this, what we call an omni-chain smart contract. So if you're building a new chain, you should be able to meet users where they are and not have to force them to sign up for a new wallet and install a new app or even acquire new tokens. So yeah, what we're enabling with Bitcoin is from your Bitcoin wallet, you can send a Bitcoin transaction and call and access an app on ZetaChain and swap native Bitcoin for ETH on Ethereum, USDC on Binance, and do all sorts of use cases, lending, borrowing, and yeah, it doesn't matter what chain you're on. the ideal user experience is that you don't have to leave the chain that you like. Yeah.
I'm going to ask, I'm going to give a final question here, and it's going to apply to everybody. You know, we've talked about creating content. We've talked about being dynamic and meeting consumers where they are, allowing them to transact in ways that provide value to them. I feel like a lot of these conversations feel like they continue to go in circles and circles and circles again. The question is, why should any of us care? We talk about crypto, we talk about NFTs as the future. From your perspective, individually, not on behalf of your company, but from your perspective, Luca, and then down the line we'll go, why should any of us care?
I could give you the politically correct answer.
I'm not interested in politically correct.
Yeah,
I want like,
or I could give you the honest answer.
Give us the honest answer, always, right? You guys want the honest answer? Honest answer.
Yeah,
Let's hear it, Luca.
The honest answer is the monetary gain in an industry like this is bar none, and probably 99% of the people in this room, the elephant in the room, is you're probably here because of the opportunity that it could yield. And I actually like to lean into that. I think other founders like to run away from that fact, but I actually just want to live in reality and live in that truth. And the reason why these things matter is because they're disruptive technologies and disruptive moments or things that people are working on that have asymmetric upside if they win. So the beauty of this space is whether you're talking about ZetaChain or Insomnia or the rest of the lot, like if one of them works in its peak form, the conversation we had today yielded a huge opportunity for those listening. Same thing for Pudgy Penguins. If we succeed at what we need to do, the asymmetric upside for everyone who believed in us is huge. And that's what happens when you bet on leaders and winners in disruptive industries. And that's why you should care. You should care because if you make the right bet, you could see huge success, which is ultimately the reason why I think most people are here. And that's why I was here, right? That's why I was here when I was collecting and why I was trading crypto. And obviously there's a beautiful story that it tells, and it solves huge problems. Like the idea that crypto can remove the intermediary from my transactions is huge. The fact that IP could be potentially built without a monopoly, and the fact that people could conceptualize IP and make global IP and participate in the upside, that's huge, right? The idea that you could have an interoperable blockchain that interacts with all different chains, which is kind of necessary for that freedom to transact future is huge. And I think in a world where we're all digitized and it's a Ready Player One world, Insomnia could be huge. So these are the things that I think matter to a lot of people, and I think ultimately why we all participate and come to these events and try to learn and try to expand our depth of knowledge is the fact that if you pick the right winner, not only could the paradigm shift in the real world and other people have chain reactions that I think are really awesome, and if you're a high integrity individual, then that's awesome, and I think that these things are amazing. But why should you care is because if you make the right choice and you pick the right winner and the right disruptive sector, we've seen it time and time again now. This industry, there's no industry that rewards early believers better than crypto. It is the creme de la creme at doing that. So that's why I think you should care.
Man, I'm really caring right now. I like that. Let's go. Riccardo, quickly.
Yeah, you mentioned Ready Player One, and the reason why I'm in crypto and I think why people should be in crypto is because you don't want Ready Player One. Ready Player One is made by one huge company, and all the software that it does is actually centralized. It's like a huge mega Google or huge mega Facebook Meta that produce this game, and everybody gets attached to it, and creates a dystopian society. And I joined actually before the movie, the whole crypto space, but the point is we need to create something that is owned by the people. We need to create something where people that believe in something can join and build on top. And this can be done, actually, you cannot do it on traditional Web 2 protocols. So we wanted to give power to the players, but in general give power to everybody who believes into something and build for them and with them. And this is really the most important thing, because if you're able to create something with the people who care about using that product, then you can actually fight against the big giants that take you a 30% fee every time you list, every time you make an in-app purchase, with the giants that ask you for money in order to be published in the main platforms. I mean, we had a lot of complex problem dealing with the big distributors. We cannot have a fully decentralized game on Apple Store. We cannot distribute the blockchain game on Steam. This is really a rejection of an industry that they're doing that because we're eating their profit. Then where are these profits going? Well, they're going to all those that believe into the project that is being built. And this is a great shift, because everybody now can be part of the success of a product they believe in. And this, to me, it's really the way that we change the economy. And in Web3, we can change the economy in many ways. For example, shifting the IP outside of games, outside of the project, and actually give ownership to those who believe in a certain IP without believing into the game, for example, that the IP is used into. I don't want to take too much time.
No, you're good, you're good. I mean, ultimately, the economic impact and the economic reward becomes collaborative.
Yeah, the balances were completely different in the way you buy digital item and then you use it in different games. Yeah. So we are actually shifting everything. It's like Apple Music when they came on with iPod.
Amazing. Melody?
I've been thinking when listening to what you guys are saying. I think the reason why I am here for is really ultimately it's for freedom. I really don't like to be told what I can do or what I cannot do. That's ultimately comes down to that. Yes.
We're the same.
Amen.
So does it become, yeah. I mean, does a smaller country has to listen to what a big country dictates what they can do or cannot do, right? If you're not in the interest of a certain economic bloc, do you have to follow the other opponents because they're bigger and powerful and they can block your payment system? You know, they can not allow you to participate in a global economy. I don't like that. I'm an individual. Do I have to listen to what my bank allowed me to do? You know, what my apps allow me to do, what my Google email, whether I can access my information or not. But ultimately for me is freedom, and there's really lowering the playing field, making the technology accessible for individual developers, individual content creators, and I can own these items that I paid for. You know, I can do anything I want with it, even though if I lose money, I made a mistake, you know, that's on me.
You own that outcome.
I own that outcome.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here for. Like, I care about that technology.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you're not in prison yet.
Well, well, I don't break any laws. I just, you know, I do it within the laws. Like, you know, I just don't.
Yes.
I know.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I echo the sentiment about ownership. I work with a lot of Argentinian developers, and they really appreciate being paid in Bitcoin when you look at debasing of currency. I echo what Lucas said about asymmetric returns and the market opportunity. This is incredibly powerful technology, and the size of crypto is smaller than Microsoft, yet you have incredibly smart people developing in crypto, so something to be said about that. And then, yeah, the fact that you can actually participate in the future of a business or protocol is really powerful. Like, if you go shopping at a retailer store and buy something as a consumer, it's not like you get a kickback of rev share at the end of the year. If you're a user in Salesforce or some software company, it's not like you can vote on the roadmap and features of a protocol. So you own a Pudgy Penguin, you have a say in the future of what you guys create. You own a ZetaChain, you can vote on governance proposals, and I think this is this new kind of incentive alignment and new model where you're going to start to see more corporate stuff move on chain, and there's a lot of opportunity. Yeah.
Sovereignty is the future, and the future is on chain. Let's give a big round of applause to our panelists today. Thank you guys. We appreciate all of you. Enjoy the next one. I think you got some big ones coming up.